We had an interesting wake-up call in the Mizpah Springs Hut, and we started to get ready for our last day of backpacking. We started the morning ritual of packing all of our stuff. I was sad that the experience was over. I enjoyed staying at the Appalachian Mountain Club's huts. We still had one more meal, a delicious breakfast, before we had to hit the trail. But we were also pretty motivated by our next stop, which was going to involve a good long hot shower and a hot tub.
So don't let the weight of the world slow you down. And if you search for the meaning of life, it won't be found. So take your insecurities and leave them all behind. Let's learn to make the most of our time.
It is a beautiful foggy day in the mountains, and I'm actually really looking forward to the hike down. Hopefully my knees are going to be okay. That was the biggest thing that I was worried about when we were starting this whole process, was just making sure that we were physically conditioned enough to handle how rigorous the trails in the White Mountains are, because they are much more strenuous than most places that you will go hiking. And today what we would have been doing is going from here up pretty high to Lake of the Clouds, but since we kind of trimmed the ends of this trip, what was supposed to be a 5-day trip backpacking from hut to hut, we just did the 2 days, and we did that just to fit more stuff in, because this was originally not planned as a honeymoon trip. So we kind of reorganized where we were going to be staying. So today we're going to be hiking back down the same trail that we came up to go back to the Highland Center. Patrick already has plans to get a sandwich and coffee for lunch, and then we'll drive to the resort that we're staying at for our one fancy night. We usually try to do one night on every trip that is a little bit fancier. The kind of ironic, funny thing is that these nights staying in the huts were actually the most expensive nights of our trip. And that's because it's your lodging and 2 meals. You get dinner and breakfast and some entertainment from the hut members. They do little skits and things to entertain you, but the food is wonderful. They do such a good job with the cooking, and it's so nice to be inside right now, because if we were tent camping, I know this fog would be soaking into the tent. Everything would be damp and chilly, but we are starting out super fresh because we were inside, and we had a great meal, and I slept really well last night. So really looking forward to just kind of taking our time on the way down, being nice to our knees, and enjoying how beautiful the forest looks when it is foggy like this. It's a special treat. After another delicious breakfast, we got all of our things packed into our backpacks and got ready to get back onto the trail. After breakfast, they read us the weather report for the day, and they asked if anyone was going to be summiting Mount Washington today. Nobody was, so they said, maybe you don't want to hear this. But we asked them to read it anyway, and they said that the fog was going to clear in about an hour, and then it was going to be perfectly clear at the summit. And you could hear this collective sigh or groan of disappointment, because every hiker in that room was thinking, man, there's our weather window. We could have summited Mount Washington today on a perfect, beautiful day. But that's how it goes in the mountains. You're always just kind of guessing and hoping for good weather. Okay. Sore, but not as sore as I feel like I was expecting to be. So we were a little disappointed that we were turning and going in the opposite direction and heading back down, but it was still going to be a beautiful hike anyway. The fog was quite thick as we got ready to head out onto the trail, and it was pretty chilly.
Okay, you guys be safe out there. Okay. I don't know about your views. I think your views are toast. Yeah, they are. Ready? Yeah,
It's a little chilly. I'm glad I had put a fleece on.
It's damp.
Yeah,
It's very damp. Yeah. Pretty though.
different experience. Seeing the clouds come over the hut, the fog, the clouds.
So it makes the forest look totally different.
Yeah.
It's like magical.
Yeah. We're a pain in the butt.
Well, as long as you can navigate, that's the thing. Because sometimes it can get so thick that you can't see your signs or you lose your path, but it's not that thick. From the boisterous hiking crowd in the hut, we headed out into the silent forest, and it felt even quieter today because of this blanket of fog. Once we got a little ways away from the hut, it was back to hiking by ourselves and really having all the space and quiet that you could ask for.
Yeah, he could do this one.
We just have to be careful.
Yep. Some booties? Light in his pack.
Yeah, if we're doing a trail like this, I don't think when you're hiking in the forest like this and it's so foggy, it just has the feeling of being in a prehistoric forest. Like you woke up and you were transported back in time. And a lot of hikers don't like the fog or being in the clouds because it means if you get to an overlook, you don't get to see anything. But I think the experience of hiking in the forest through the trees is really enhanced by this experience of being inside the clouds.
Probably our only uphill for the day. A little darkness over there, a little light over there.
It's like the ultimate experience of impermanence.
Yeah.
Where, like the light's changing, everything changes constantly. The trees, the plants, everything.
Well, even the trail yesterday, I tried like remembering. We remember certain spots of the trail, but going the other way, it turns into another trail. And then the part that I was like, oh, we didn't pass it already. And I was like, no, we totally passed it. And I was like, oh shoot, because it's so different going the other way.
You have to stop on a trail like this. You have to stop because when you're walking, you're so concentrating on not falling and getting hurt that you really can't look around and look up and look at the trees and get the details. So you have to stop, which adds more time.
Yeah.
It really does take you a long time to get anywhere in the White Mountains, but
I almost feel like today I'm starting to get my legs too.
that third day, it's the third day you start to...
First day I'm like, okay, get where I'm going. Gotta get where I'm going.
I was nervous.
Well, we kind of did, but then even today or yesterday was longer miles, and then we got some street cred from the guide. She's
That's nice.
surprised that we did.
Yeah. She was like, oh, you came all the way from Zealand Falls?
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty good. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Now I don't feel so bad that I was tired and sore.
I'm going 1.4, 1.2 miles an hour.
Yeah. We were not breaking any speed records, that's for sure. But we made it.
We made it.
Important thing. Yeah, it looks great. A little bit of brightness through the trees. As the fog burned off, we started to notice that the birds were starting to wake up and become a lot more active. It's funny, yesterday as we were getting ready to go up this trail, I was not very happy and contemplating if we should cancel it and change our plans. And then today, I'm trying to figure out how slow I can walk because I don't want it to be over because it's so pretty. And we're getting to that point where we're on like the downward slope of the trip. Starting to think about heading back home. And that's always the hard part of the trip for me. Especially because I know it's going to be a long time before we get to be around mountains like this again, but I'll definitely be back. Love the White Mountains. We carried on slowly down the trail, trying to soak everything in and really savor the experience because this was a special part of the trip. And looking back, this was my favorite part of the whole trip, with all of the challenges and discomfort and being sore. It was still my favorite. And on this third day, we could feel the difference in our bodies. It's so hard to condition yourself to doing something like this when you don't get to do it on a regular basis. No matter how hard we work out in the gym, it's never quite the same. But on that third day, you start to feel your body acclimating. He doesn't even care that we're here.
No.
Just going about his business. All right, sir.
Good.
Enjoy. After our all-too-quick 2.7-mile hike down the hill, we were approaching the parking area and we were trying to go even more slowly, even though we were excited about our post-hike meal. But it doesn't have quite the same appeal after you've been fed so well at the huts, but that doesn't mean we were going to skip it.
Jeep's still there.
We were happy to see the Jeep was right where we left it, which means I guess we filled out the parking pass correctly. Made it. Even though I was sad for the hike to be over, I was looking forward to being able to take off my pack. It's been a very long time since I've worn a backpack this heavy for 3 days in a row. We threw our packs in the Jeep and then headed across the street to the Highland Center to have a good lunch. And when we were in there, we saw that the Appalachian Mountain Club was founded in 1876. I had no idea that it had been around for that long. I really love the Appalachian Mountain Club, and I credit them with the fact that I'm so outdoorsy. They are the organization that I went hiking with my dad and my brother many years ago, and I've taken so many workshops and classes with them that have taught me so much. So I'm very appreciative of them. And if you're looking for a way to get outdoors but to learn some skills along the way, look into the Appalachian Mountain Club. We finished off that meal pretty quickly, and then we were making our way to the resort for a recovery day. We booked this place because it had little cottages. It was close to the Franconia Notch State Park, which is one of my favorite hiking areas, and most importantly, it had a hot tub.
Well, you worried about you and me, the injustice, the next president to be, the news and what you hear, your career. It's time for you to face those fears, and it's all fair to be aware, and I'll be there, so don't be scared. Just take a deep breath of air, and And 1, 2, 3 to 10, you begin to focus again. And though time flies, we'll have enough to realize this bigger than the both of us.